Tom lived alone on a quiet farming outpost far from Earth. His small home was made of metal and stone, built on red soil surrounded by tall bluegrass. The sky was always a soft purple in the evening, and the suns gave the land a warm golden glow. During the day, he didn't mind the silence. Tom liked planting seeds, fixing machines, and watching the wind move across his fields. He had left Earth many years ago, looking for peace after the busy noise of human cities. One evening, while he was checking his greenhouse, dark clouds covered the sky. A strong storm began, with loud thunder and rain falling like rocks. Tom rushed inside, holding his hat tight. He made tea, turned on the heater, and sat by the window, watching the rain. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed outside. It came from the edge of his field, near the old barn. Tom stood up quickly. He grabbed his flashlight and put on his coat. As the wind pushed against him, he walked toward the noise. Near the barn, something moved in the shadows. At first, he thought it was a wild animal, but as he got closer, he saw a shape, a tall figure, wearing strange armor. It looked like a person, but not human. She had greenish skin, long limbs, and dark markings on her arms. Her eyes were large and gold, glowing slightly even in the dark. She looked weak, her knees shaking. Then, without a word, she collapsed on the wet ground. Tom ran forward. "Hey, are you hurt?" The figure didn't reply. She was breathing, but barely. Her armor was scratched and cracked. She looked thin, like she hadn't eaten for days. Without thinking, Tom lifted her carefully. She was light, too light. He carried her inside, placed her on the couch, and wrapped her in a thick blanket. She didn't open her eyes, but her fingers twitched. Tom placed a bowl of warm soup on the table. Then he sat across the room, unsure of what to do next. He had heard stories about aliens before. Traders sometimes talked about strange beings in space, some dangerous, some kind. But Tom had never seen one himself. After some time, the alien woman slowly opened her eyes. She looked around the room with confusion, then at Tom. Her body tensed. Tom raised his hands. "It's okay. You're safe here." She didn't speak, only stared. Then she looked at the soup. Her hands moved toward it, but she paused, as if waiting for permission. Tom nodded. "Go ahead. You need it." Slowly, she picked up the bowl and drank. Her hand shook as she finished every drop. She placed the bowl down and looked at him again, more calmly now. "I'm Tom," he said softly. "This is my farm." She tilted her head, trying to understand. "Do you have a name?" he asked. There was silence. Then, in a soft voice, she said, "Rava." It was the first time he had heard her speak. Her voice was quiet but strong. Tom smiled. "Nice to meet you, Rava." She looked at him for a moment, then her eyes closed again. She was still tired. Tom let her rest. He made a small bed for her near the fireplace using clean sheets and soft pillows. He placed a cup of water beside her and turned off the lights. That night, the storm outside grew stronger. Rain hit the roof like drumbeats, and the wind howled like a wild animal. But inside, the house was warm and quiet. Tom lay in his room, thinking, who was she? Where had she come from? Why was she alone? He didn't know the answers, but something in his heart told him he had done the right thing. In the living room, Rava didn't sleep at first. She opened her eyes and looked around slowly. She had never seen a home like this, simple, warm, and safe. The smell of food still lingered in the air. She looked at the man who had helped her. He was kind, calm, and not afraid. On her planet, weakness was punished. No one gave anything without asking for something in return. But this human had asked for nothing. He had simply helped. For the first time in many days, Rava felt her body relax. Outside, the storm passed, the sky cleared, and stars appeared once. Again, morning light entered through the small window, painting the walls of Tom's house in a soft golden color. The storm was gone. The land outside looked fresh and quiet, but inside, there was still tension. Rava slowly sat up from the bed, near the fireplace. Her body was stiff, and her muscles ached. She looked around carefully. The room was neat, full of tools, books, and farming equipment. It was peaceful but unfamiliar. She saw Tom in the kitchen, cooking something. The smell of warm food filled the air again. Her stomach growled, but she quickly held it, as if embarrassed. Tom turned and smiled. "You're awake. That's good. I made breakfast." Rava didn't reply. She stared at him, her golden eyes filled with caution. She didn't understand him fully, but his voice was calm. His body showed no threat. Tom placed a plate of eggs, bread, and fruit on the table. He pointed. "You can eat. No tricks." Rava stepped forward slowly. Her sharp eyes scanned the room, checking for danger. Then she sat down and picked up the food. She ate quietly, not wasting a single bite. Tom sat across from her, sipping tea. He didn't ask questions, not yet. He just watched her with interest and quiet respect. After she finished, she leaned back slightly. "Why?" she asked, her voice rough but clear. Tom raised his eyebrows. "Why what? Why help me?" She said, "You don't know me. I could be dangerous." Tom nodded. "You could, but you looked like you needed help. And I guess I don't like seeing anyone suffer." Rava didn't answer. She looked down at her hands. Her claws were chipped, and her arms had thin scars. Her armor was cracked in many places. "I'm not weak," she said suddenly. "I'm a huntress. I survive. I don't beg." Tom leaned back in his chair. "I didn't say you were weak. Strong people need help too, sometimes." Rava looked up. No one had ever said that to her before. In her world, strength meant silence. Pain was hidden. Kindness was rare. "I crashed here 3 weeks ago," she said slowly. "My ship lost power. I walked across rocks and deserts, no food, no water. I hunted. I hid. Then storm came." Tom listened without interrupting. He saw the pain in her eyes, even though she tried to hide it. "I saw your light," she added. "Thought maybe it was a trap. But I had no choice." Tom shook his head. "No traps here. Just a quiet life." Rava looked around again. She noticed the small plant pots near the window, the pictures on the wall, the soft chair by the fire. It was so different from the cold training grounds of her home world. "Where are the others?" she asked. "Other people?" Tom shrugged. "No. One else lives here. Just me." "Why?" Tom smiled sadly. "Earth got too loud, too fast. I wanted peace, so I moved here. It's not easy, but it's honest." Rava thought about that. She had never met someone who chose to live alone. In her culture, warriors stayed in groups, in tribes. But even in a crowd, she had often felt alone. After breakfast, Tom took her outside. The air was fresh and the sky clear. Rava looked at the strange blue grass and the tall trees with glowing leaves. "This land," she said, "it's calm." Tom nodded. "It listens, if you let it." They walked slowly through the farm. Rava moved carefully, her hand resting on the small blade she kept hidden in her belt. But Tom didn't mind. He understood trust takes time. He showed her the water collector, the greenhouse full of vegetables, and the small energy station he built from old ship parts. "I grow most of what I eat," Tom said. "Sometimes I trade with nearby stations, but mostly I stay here." Rava touched one of the plants. "My people don't grow food. We hunt. We take what we need. Weak ones fall behind." Tom smiled. "Sounds rough." "It is," she replied. They stood in silence for a moment. A soft breeze moved the grass, and a bird-like creature flew past them. Later that day, Tom gave Rava clean clothes. They were too big for her, but they were warm and soft. She changed behind the storage shed and came back, her armor folded in her arms. "You can fix that?" Tom asked, pointing at the armor. She nodded. "In time, needs power. And tools?" "Well, I've got a few tools," Tom said. "Maybe we can fix it together." Rava didn't reply, but her eyes softened just a little. That evening, they sat by the fire again. Tom made a simple stew. Rava sat quietly, her legs crossed, watching the flames. "My people," she said suddenly, "do not believe in kindness without reason." Tom stirred the stew. "What do you believe?" She was quiet for a moment. "I don't know anymore." Tom handed her a bowl. Maybe you'll find a new answer here. Rava took it, her hand steady now. She looked at him carefully, studying his face, his calm smile, the way he moved without fear. For the first time, she felt something strange, a small, quiet feeling. Not fear, not duty, maybe safety. The days passed slowly, but peacefully. The wind carried soft sounds across the land, and the suns gave light that made the soil warm and gentle. Tom's farm was calm, and now, for the first time in many years, it had two people living on it. Rava still moved carefully around the house. She was used to danger. Every step, every sound, every shadow caught her attention. But with each new sunrise, her guard lowered just a little. One morning, Tom stood outside with a basket full of vegetables. He looked at her and smiled. "Do you want to help cook?" he asked. Rava tilted her head. "Cook? You mean prepare food?" Tom nodded. "Yes, you'll like it. It's not hard." She followed him into the kitchen. Tom showed her how to wash the vegetables and cut them carefully. Rava's hands were steady. She used a small knife like a skilled fighter, cutting every piece the same size. "You've done this before?" Tom asked with a smile. "No," Rava said. "But I learned fast." He laughed. "I can see that." As they cooked together, Rava began to ask more questions. She wanted to know about the tools, the spices, and even the strange green leaves Tom called basil. She tasted a piece of potato, frowned, then added more salt. "Better," she said firmly. Tom chuckled. "You'll be teaching me soon." After they finished, they sat outside and ate under the big tree near the garden. The sun was soft, and the wind carried the smell of flowers and earth. Rava ate slowly now, not like the first day. Her body was stronger, her face more relaxed. "This food," she said, "is simple, but good." "Simple is enough," Tom replied. Later that day, Rava walked near the field and watched the strange flying creatures that passed overhead. Tom joined her, carrying a small radio. "Want to hear music?" he asked. "Music?" He turned on the device. A soft melody filled the air, calm and slow. Rava blinked. "What is this?" "It's called a song," Tom said. "Humans like to make sounds that tell stories or feelings." Rava listened quietly, her head tilted slightly. "We have war chants, but this is different." Tom smiled. "Music doesn't always need words. Sometimes it just makes the heart feel lighter." They stood there, listening, not speaking. Even the birds seemed to pause. That evening, Rava returned to the barn where she had first fallen. She looked at the spot where she had collapsed in the rain. Tom joined her, holding a lamp. "What are you thinking about?" "My path," she said. "It was pain and hunger, but it brought me here." "Sometimes hard roads lead to good places," Tom said. She nodded. "I was trained to survive, to hunt, to win. But no one trained me to feel peace." Tom looked at her gently. "You don't need training for that. Just time, and maybe a safe place." Rava touched the old wall of the barn. "This place is strange, not weak, just quiet." The next morning, Rava showed Tom something new. "I want to give back," she said. "You shared your skills. Now I will share mine." She led him to the forest nearby, carrying a small tracking tool and a sharp stick. She moved like a shadow, silent, fast, alert. She showed him how to look for animal tracks, how to listen for movement, how to tell if a creature was near by the broken leaves or fresh footprints. Tom followed her closely, trying to copy her movements, but he stepped on a branch and it cracked. Loudly, Rava turned and gave a tiny smirk. "Too loud." Tom laughed. "I guess I'll need practice." They sat near a stream and drank the clean water. Rava taught him how to use a leaf to check if water was safe. She also showed him how to make a basic trap just for training, not to harm anything. Tom looked impressed. "You're full of surprises." Rava looked at the sky. "My people learned to survive from the time we can walk, but no one taught us how to rest." Tom looked at her. "Maybe that's what you're learning now, back at the house." Rava helped Tom repair the broken drone he used for planting seeds. Its arm was stuck, and the power cord was old. Rava opened the back of the machine and connected a piece from her own damaged armor. She used her tools to reshape the wires. The drone blinked to life and moved its arm perfectly. Tom clapped. "That's amazing. You just gave it new life." Rava smiled faintly. "It was simple." "No," Tom said. "It was clever." Rava turned her head slightly, surprised by the compliment. On her planet, praise was rare. She looked at the working drone. Maybe old things don't need to be thrown away, just fixed differently. Tom nodded. "That's a good way to look at it." That night, Rava stood outside and looked at the stars. She thought about her past cold camps, harsh training, and endless missions. Now she was learning new things. How to grow food, how to fix machines with care, how to listen to music, and how to trust someone without fear. Tom walked over with 2 cups of warm tea. He handed one to her. "You've done a lot today." She looked at him. "So have you." They stood together, sipping quietly, under a sky full of stars. "Do you miss your people?" Tom asked softly. Rava didn't answer at first. Then she said, "Sometimes. But I don't miss the pain." Tom nodded. "Here, no one hurts you." She looked at him. "I know." And for the first time, her voice was calm, not guarded, not sharp, just calm. Something had changed. Days passed in calm silence on Tom's farm. The quiet land around them held a peaceful rhythm, and Rava's strength returned with each sunrise. She was learning to live with less fear, to rest more, and to trust the human who had saved her. One clear morning, as Tom repaired a broken fence near the field, Rava stood watching the sky. Suddenly, a dark shape appeared far above, an unfamiliar ship moving quickly across the purple sky. Rava's sharp eyes narrowed. "That ship," she said quietly. "It is from my world." Tom stopped working. "From your people?" She nodded. "Slowly, hunters. They search for those who do not follow the rules." Tom looked up at the ship. It was large, with sleek wings and glowing lights. It moved like a shadow, silent but fast. "They might come here," Rava said. "They believe I failed my mission. They will want to bring me back." Tom's brow furrowed. "What mission?" Rava looked away for a moment. "It was important. I was sent to find something, but my ship broke down. I lost contact. They think I ran away." Tom wiped his hands on his pants. "But you didn't run. You survived." "Yes," Rava said firmly. "But they do not understand. In their eyes, failure is punishment." Tom placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're safe here. I won't let anyone hurt you." Rava met his eyes. For the first time, she did not feel alone. Later, they sat inside the house, watching the stars. The silence was heavy. "I want to leave," Rava said suddenly. "If they come, I will take the blame. I cannot risk your safety." Tom shook his head. "You're not going anywhere. You saved yourself. And you saved me too. This is your home now." Rava looked down, torn between duty and trust. The next day, the ship returned, landing quietly on the forest edge. The ground shook as its doors opened. Rava's heart pounded. She looked at Tom. "They are here." Tom stepped forward. "We will face this together." From the ship, 2 figures emerged, tall, armored like Rava, but colder, harder. They scanned the land with their eyes. One spoke in a harsh tone. "Rava, you must come with us. You have failed your mission and betrayed your people." Rava stood tall. "I have not betrayed anyone. I have found peace and truth here." The 2 hunters exchanged looks. The leader said, "Your people will decide your fate. Come willingly." Rava turned to Tom. "I do not want to fight." Tom smiled gently. "Neither do I. But I will protect you." The hunters looked at Tom with suspicion. "You are human. Why do you protect her?" Tom's voice was steady. "Because kindness is stronger than fear." For a moment, silence fell. Then the leader said, "We will return with more forces if you refuse. Decide now." Rava's eyes met Tom's. She knew what she wanted. "I will stay," she said. "Not because I'm weak, but because I choose this life." The hunters hesitated. Then, without another word, they returned to their ship. The doors closed, and the ship rose into the sky, disappearing among the stars. Tom and Rava watched until it was gone. Rava took a deep breath. "You saved me, Tom. I owe you more than I can say. Tom shook his head. You saved yourself by trusting me. For the first time, Rava smiled fully, a warm, real smile. The stars above seemed brighter, and the quiet land felt more like home than ever before. After the Huntress ship disappeared into the sky, a new quiet settled over the farm. But Tom and Rava knew it might not last long. The possibility of visitors, maybe even trouble, was real. They had to prepare. The next morning, Tom began fixing the fence around the farm, making it stronger and higher. He also built a small shelter near the edge of the forest, a lookout post, to watch the skies and the land. Rava helped with her strong hands. Even though she was used to fighting, she worked carefully, learning to build rather than break. Why do you build walls? She asked one day. Tom smiled. Not to keep people out, but to protect what's inside. Sometimes peace needs a little guard. Rava nodded slowly. In my world, we do not build. We fight. But fighting is not the only way, Tom said gently. Sometimes kindness is the strongest defense. Together, they cleared bushes and set up simple sensors from old machines. These sensors could warn them if anyone approached the farm without permission. Rava watched carefully and learned how each device worked. She was surprised by how human tools could be useful and clever. One evening, Tom showed her a small box. This is a communicator. If anything happens, I can call for help. Rava looked at it with interest. Your people have many ways to help. We try, Tom said. As days passed, Rava taught Tom some basic defense moves, not to hurt anyone, but to protect himself if needed. Don't aim to break bones, she said firmly. Aim to stop danger. Tom practiced carefully. He was not a fighter like Rava, but he was quick to learn. They laughed together when Tom accidentally stumbled or missed a move. You have much to learn, Rava teased, smiling. And you have much to teach, Tom replied. One afternoon, while fixing the drone used for planting, Rava noticed a small crack in the machine's arm. This will break soon, she warned. We must fix it properly. Tom nodded. Good. They worked side by side, using tools and parts from her armor. It was slow work, but it gave them time to talk. Rava told Tom stories of her home, the wide deserts, the star-filled nights, the great hunts. Tom shared tales of Earth, the green forests, deep oceans, and crowded cities. Though they came from different worlds, their stories built a bridge between them. One evening, after they finished work, Tom brought out an old guitar he had found in his travels. Ever heard music like this? He asked. Rava shook her head. Tom played a soft tune, the strings singing a gentle song. Rava listened closely. The music felt strange but comforting. You humans find peace in many ways, she said thoughtfully. Tom smiled. And sometimes peace finds us. That night, as they sat by the fire, Rava looked at Tom seriously. If more come looking for me, she said, I will not run. Tom reached for her hand. And you will never have to. She squeezed his hand gently. Thank you for showing me kindness. Tom smiled softly. No, Rava. Thank you for trusting me. Together, under the stars, two different worlds found a new beginning. The air was still and quiet, but Rava felt a change in the wind. She stood near the forest edge, eyes fixed on the distant sky. Tom noticed her silence. He had come to know her well enough now. When Rava went quiet, something was coming. Do you feel something? He asked. Rava nodded slowly. Yes, I think they are near. That evening, just as the suns began to set, a strange light appeared in the sky. It moved fast, smooth, and without sound. Rava's heart sank. The shape was familiar to familiar. It's them, she said softly. My people. Tom stood beside her, watching the light grow closer. You think they'll try to take you? They will not ask. They will command, she replied. That's their way. The ship landed far from the farm, on a flat open field near the hills. It didn't make a sound, but a cloud of dust followed it. A moment later, a small group of figures stepped out, tall, armored, sharp-eyed like Rava. They sent the envoys. Rava said, one speaks, the others watch. It means they want to talk. Before they act, Tom looked at her. Do you want me to come with you? Rava shook her head. No, I must face them first, alone. Tom didn't argue. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You are not alone anymore. Not really. Rava gave him a small nod, then walked toward the ship, her steps firm but calm. The lead envoy was a woman with silver armor and cold eyes. She didn't smile. Rava, we thought you were dead. I lived, Rava replied, and I found a better path. You were sent to complete a mission. You did not return. You were called back to answer. I no longer belong to that world, Rava said. I have made a new life. The envoy's voice became sharper. You are not allowed to make such choices. You were born for one purpose. Rava stepped forward, and now I choose another. Behind the envoy, the other hunters watched silently. One of them, younger, lowered his weapon slightly. His eyes showed confusion, maybe even respect. You risk exile, the envoy warned. No home, no honor. Rava looked back toward the farm. She thought of the food she had grown, the laughter she had shared, the peace she had finally found. I have already found my home, she said. The envoy stared at her for a long time. Then she turned. You will not be followed. But you are no longer of us, Rava nodded once. I understand. Without another word, the group returned to their ship. The engines lit up, and the craft rose into the sky, disappearing without a sound. Rava stood alone for a moment. Her heart beat fast, not from fear but from relief. She had made her choice, and they had let her go. Tom was waiting near the garden when she returned. He looked at her with concern. What happened? They are gone, Rava said. I am not part of them now. Tom stepped closer. How do you feel? She looked up at the sky, now dark with stars, free, a little sad, but free. Tom smiled. Sometimes leaving the past behind is the hardest step, but also the most important. Rava didn't answer right away. She just looked at the farm, the trees, the lights, the warm glow from the window. This was her place now. That night, they shared dinner together, sitting under the stars with quiet joy. You were brave today, Tom said. Rava shook her head. I only told the truth. Tom looked at her with gentle eyes. Sometimes, telling the truth is the bravest thing of all. Rava smiled. I didn't do it alone. They clinked their cups together in silent celebration. Out in the quiet night, the wind carried no fear, only peace. The stars shone brighter. That night, the sky was clear, calm, and full of peace, just like the land below it. Rava sat on the wooden steps of the house, a warm cup in her hands. She wore simple clothes now, not armor. Her face looked softer, more peaceful. The warrior in her was still there, but something else had grown stronger, quiet, calm, and full of life. Tom walked out with a blanket and placed it gently over her shoulders. You'll catch cold, he said with a smile. I have survived. Worse, she replied, smiling back. But thank you. They sat together in silence for a while. No need for words. The wind spoke softly, and the gentle sound of the night filled the space between them. Tomorrow is market day, Tom said. We can visit the nearby outpost, trade some fruit and tools. Rava nodded. I've never been to a human market. You'll like it? There's music, food stalls, friendly people. Will they be afraid of me? She asked quietly. Tom shook his head. Not if I'm with you. That answer made her heart feel warm. She didn't speak, but her eyes showed what she felt: safe, accepted, and not alone. The next morning, they packed the cart with vegetables, jars of jam, and handmade tools. Rava helped load everything and even fixed one of the wheel locks that had been stuck for weeks. You really are handy, Tom said. I have strong fingers, Rava replied. He laughed. That you do. They rode the cart together to the outpost, a small gathering of homes, shops, and trade stands. People waved at Tom as they arrived, and curious eyes turned to our AVA. At first, Rava stood close to Tom, watching the crowd carefully. But as the day went on, people began to talk to her. A young boy offered her a flower. An old woman complimented her strong posture. You are not what I expected, the woman said kindly. Rava smiled. I am not what I expected either. By the end of the day, Rava was helping a trader fix a broken drone part. Her hands moved quickly, and her voice was calm. She even laughed once, a soft, real laugh. Tom watched from a distance and felt proud. Rava wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. Back on the farm that evening, they unpacked their goods and sat by the small fire outside. You did great today, Tom said. It was strange at first, Rava admitted. But I think I liked it. Tom nodded. People change. You've changed. Rava looked into the fire. You helped me. You showed me that kindness is not weakness. Tom looked at her. You helped me too. I lived a quiet life, but not a full one. You brought light into it, Rava touched the soil beneath her. This land is not mine by birth, but it feels like home, because it is, Tom said. She looked up at him. Are you sure? I'm not like you. Tom smiled. That's what makes it better. In the following weeks, they planted more crops. Rava built a new water system using old ship parts. Tom taught her how to play simple notes on the guitar. She wasn't good at first, but she enjoyed trying. At night, they sat outside, looking at the stars, sharing stories and dreams. One day, a message came from the Human Space Council. They had heard about the alien woman who chose peace over war, farming over fighting. They were curious and impressed. An ambassador visited the farm. He spoke kindly, took notes, and offered an idea. Would you like to help teach others about peace between species? He asked. Your story is rare and special. Tom looked at Rava. What do you think? She paused for a moment, then said, if others can learn, maybe they won't fear so much. Maybe they'll find what I found. The ambassador smiled. That's all we can hope for. Later that night, Tom and Rava stood on the roof of the house, watching the stars once more. Do you ever miss your old life? Tom asked. Rava thought carefully. No, that life was full of rules and fear. Here, I am more than a hunter. I am me. Tom looked at her warmly. I'm glad you stayed. Rava looked back at him. I stayed because you gave me a reason. They sat close, shoulder to shoulder, quiet and content. Above them, the stars watched silently, as if proud of the two beings below, once strangers, now family.